Hi everyone, my name is Advocate Rahul Kumar Singh. We'll be discussing about rent agreement. What is rent agreement? We'll discuss. What are the facts to be included in rent agreement, and what are the things which can make the rent agreement more effective. So watch till the end to get the full information. So first of all, rent agreement is a contract between the landlord and a tenant. So it is a type of evidence which is outlining the terms about the property, which includes the amount of rent which the person will pay, means the tenant will pay. What is the duration? If it is of 11 months, it doesn't need registration. If it is above 11 months, means if it is a 1 year, that you will need a registration. And other responsibilities will be added. Okay. Next is it is protecting the parties, means anybody cannot claim more as because it is written whatever things needs to be claimed. Rights, landlord will get the landlord's right, tenant will get the tenant's rights. It will help to prevent the disputes, and it will contain property details, right? In which place the property is, and different types of numbers like Khatiyan number and others numbers. Okay, so all needs to be given over there. Now, how much rent you are paying, that needs to be maintained. Maintenance, who will pay the maintenance? The tenants will pay, or the landlord will pay, or the maintenance charge needs to be given. All needs to be written over there. Okay, as well as the termination clause. Suppose if you are leaving the house, then what will happen to the agreement? That is known as exit clause, that needs to be mentioned in the agreement before leaving it. So that is known as termination clause, and that is necessary. What will happen if the agreement is left in between? That needs to be stated. So if the agreement is more than 12 months, that needs to be registration. If it is of 12 months, it will need registration. 11 months, it doesn't need. So what are the elements, important things needs to be included? Parties involved, name of the parties like tenants and landlord, as well as their address of the landlord and a tenant. Next thing you have to give is property details. In property details, you will give the full address of the property, what is the size of the land, okay, and on which locality it is there. So that all needs to be mentioned. So without that, that will not be there. Okay. Next is financial terms. In financial terms, the amount of rent and the due date. By what date the agreement pay, means the rent payment must be, that needs to be distributed. If the landlord is taking the security deposit amount must be mentioned. Next point is the duration of tenancy. Whether that is of 11 months or longer, that needs to be mentioned in the duration of tenancy in that clause. Okay, next is the responsibilities clause. Who will be responsible for maintenance, repairs, and utility charges, means other facilities like parking. Okay, or there is a park area, common places, so that one needs to be mentioned in a responsibilities clause. Then at the end comes the termination and renewal clause, means when will the agreement get terminated, and after the completion of the agreement, whether the rent will be renewed or it will be increased. If increased, by how many percent, that needs to be mentioned in termination and rental clauses. At the end, there will be miscellaneous clause. Miscellaneous means if there is any additional clause you want to add, you can add it. Like rules for subletting. Subletting means suppose the landlord gave A the rent. Now A will give that rent to somebody else. So that is known as subletting. Means somebody is taking on rent, and again that person is giving on rent to somebody. That is known as subletting. Okay, so that all must be mentioned, as well as the increment. How much it will be increased after that particular time after the agreement is there, that must be mentioned. Now, why a rent agreement important? First of all, it gives legal protection to both the landlord and the tenant. Second point, it will prevent the disputes. Why? As because everything is written down, there is a risk of misunderstanding will be less. So prevent dispute. Third, evidence. Rent agreement will act as a valid proof for tenancy for applying the address proof as well as police verification. So rent agreement will act as a evidence. Fourth, enforceability, means the parties who is not, means the party has the power to implement that agreement in a court of law, as because they have evidence that they have signed some agreement. So it will also act as an enforceability. Now registration and validity. Basically, in stamp paper, the rent agreements are prepaid. For the, like somebody is drafting for self, so that is on that stamp paper is not required. But if you are drafting for a client, or you are giving some in a court of law, so in that stamp paper is required. But you are drafting for yourself or for internship, in that cases stamp paper, if your senior takes the stamp paper, it is fine. If doesn't take, then you have to do in stamp paper. If the senior accepts that, you can do without stamp paper. But for all commercial purpose, legal purpose, client purpose, stamp paper is must. Okay, so stamp paper is needed to draft a rent agreement, just because it is a stamp. Next is registration. For agreement that are of 12 months or longer, that means registration. If it is of 11 months, it doesn't need registration. And last, what are the benefits of registration of rent agreement? It gives a legal evidence whenever disputes arises, as well as it will make the contract binding. Okay, so who are watching the video, you can mention your names so that I can contact you, and interaction can happen. Mention your name in the comment box, okay, so that other things we can communicate with you. And share, like and subscribe. Thank you for listening and watching. Take care. Bye bye.